The number of women behind bars in New South Wales is rising, with incarcerations doubling over the last 20 years. And a recent report from the Australian Centre for the Study of Sexual Assault suggests 80% of inmates have experienced physical or sexual abuse. The findings further suggest prison life, with its regime of strip searches, surveillance and control, often hinder women's rehabilitation. With Commonwealth funds shrinking in the not-for-profit prison sector, experts and advocates are turning to state prison authorities to deliver urgent reforms. Stephanie Boulay with this special report.
They intimidate, saying you're never good enough, you'll be back, you know, those sort of things, and if you keep hearing it, you're going to believe it. I have experienced a lot of, abusive relationships over the years, and going in there and having to cop it again, it just brings up all that stuff.
Melissa Hunt, a mother of 6, has been in and out of prison for 15 years. With a history of drug abuse and a series of violent relationships, it's a small miracle she's been able to steer her life back on course.
My first time in prison was probably 96. 3 months. Been in and out since then. I did one sentence. I was sentenced to 5 years with 4.5 to serve. The last time I was in was 2010.
Today, there are more than 650 women behind bars in New South Wales. That's a 2.5-fold increase in 25 years. Many prisoner advocates say the majority of them should not be sent to prison at all.
Most women have what we would call very low-level offending. They are often offending in ways which hurt themselves, not so much other people. How's your week?
Not bad, and yourself?
Yeah, good love, have a seat.
Kat Armstrong is the founder of WIPN, Women in Prison Advocacy Network. A former prisoner, she now runs a mentoring network for former inmates.
Now that she's in the community, she's still traumatised, and now with children of her own.
Kat Armstrong drifted in and out of prison between the ages of 20 and 35. She says her time behind bars was a waste of time and taxpayers' dollars.
It didn't help me address my offending behaviour. It did not help me with my drug addiction. It did not deter me from committing crime.
Her life changed course when, as a recovering heroin addict, she received help from a mentor.
I was sitting in a boarding house in the middle of Blacktown, filled with cockroaches and other drug addicts and people committing crime, and because I had no money and nowhere else to go, and that was the only option I had. And if it hadn't been for the person that came into my life and believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and gave me an opportunity to get further education, get skills and training and get a job.
80% of inmates have experienced sexual violence and other abuse in the past, and a recent Commonwealth Government report says prison procedures like strip searches can damage them further.
Females, in particular female victim survivors, have different needs than men, and some policies and procedures found in penal environments may have a re-victimising effect on women.
You know, they come in with their cameras and you stand there with one female in front, one female behind, and another female behind her with a camera. And when we stand there stark naked, we're vulnerable.
The power that guards have over prisoners' privileges, such as food and personal visits, is another issue. Women can even be exploited in forbidden relationships.
I've seen female officers with female inmates. I've seen male officers with female inmates. I don't know if they take advantage of the vulnerable, but I have experienced, or I have seen those things go on.
Kat Armstrong argues sexual relationships between guards and inmates are underreported.
Some women do it willingly because the officer then brings her special treats or perfume or makeup. And some even, because they've been prostitutes, that's how they've supported their drug addiction. And so it's another means for them to actually get benefits and favours.
Corrective Services says such behaviour is extremely rare, but doesn't deny that instances have occurred.
There is absolutely no tolerance. If any instance was reported, the person would be immediately suspended from duty. An investigation would ensue.
Luke Grant is Acting Commissioner for Corrective Services. His department, who co-funded the trauma report, is about to make major changes to the system to provide appropriate support for women inside jails. A review of strip searching, balanced against requirements to control contraband, is also on the agenda.
It's about a safe environment, staff who are better informed, putting in place trauma services, counselling services for people who want them, and seeing if they make a difference.
Academic Eileen Baldry says the key to preventing women from reoffending is in providing long-term counselling and access to housing, education and healthcare outside prison.
We should be doing that in the community. And the community is the best place to do it, but in a safe place. We should be providing safe places for that to happen. We should not be expecting that prison it produces this, because that's not what prison is for, and it's not the nature of prison.
Luke Grant says further research could improve the system for victims of sexual abuse.
So if you're running a drug and alcohol program or even an educational program, how should this history of trauma be incorporated into the programming? So that's the other thing we're really interested in doing, to revisit our programs and to ensure that the way we deliver our programs, the content of the programs is responsive to this very important historical feature of the women who are in our care.
It's something that a lot of women need to get counselling and all that for the abuse, because half of them just keep it to themselves and it could be harmful.
What do you mean?
The suicide, all that kind of stuff, like people self-harm, that's they're calling out, oh, I need help, but they're not giving it.
For Melissa Hunt, personal and practical support from a social worker was the recipe to successfully resettle in the community.
Having a support network has really helped me. You know, all the other times I never had support. I never had anyone, not many family members. Tried to do everything on my own, it just didn't work. My life's 100% better.